Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students of Communications and Public Relations Management course, today inshallah we will start with chapter number 5, which is titled by Management. Learning Perspectives. The Chief Executive Officer in the firm's top manager responsible for setting strategy and framing a policy. So as you know that the Chief Executive Officer is one of the most important figure within any organization. He's responsible for managing the whole process of management within the organization, achieving the organizational goals, setting the strategical plans, framing the policies, and so on. So again, Chief Executive Officer is responsible for setting strategies. Here it means long-term plans. So Chief Executive Officer is the most visionary person within an organization. He is or he should have the ability to predict the future very well and how different factors will affect organizations. Once we talk about strategy, so here we wanted to talk about setting organizational mission and vision. So the Chief Executive Officer is the most visionary person within the organization. He should be able to predict the future of an organization very well and how different factors, whether inside or outside the organization, will affect it, and also framing different policies. The Chief Executive Officer serves as chief spoken person, also corporate booster. It means he is a developing person within an organization. He is responsible to improve organization and its employees. Okay. Also, Chief Executive Officer serves as reputation defender. So as we see that there is something in common between public relation practitioners and Chief Executive Officer. Both of them is a spoken person, both of them defending about the organization, also both of them is working as a corporate booster. Also we can say that the Chief Executive Officer representing the whole organization, public relation practitioner also representing the organization as a whole. So both of them dealing with the organization as a whole, unlike the other managerial or functional area or units or departments within the organization, such as financial management, sales, purchasing department, or management department. Okay, so these duties are much like those of public relations professional. So again, as we said before, that there is similarities or something in common between each of them, the Chief Executive Officer and public relation practitioners. Management process of public relations. Public relations today is much more a planned, persuasive social managerial science than a damage control reaction. So again, public relation practitioners and Chief Executive Officer, they are not only responsible to control damages within the organization or react for something happened within the organization. They have to be proactive, also to predict what will affect the organization from different factors surrounding it, whether positively or negatively. Don't get me wrong, the public relations professionals who have the most organizational clout or a power and get paid the most are those who demonstrate the ability to perform in a crisis. So those who have a strong clout or a power and also paying much for them, they have to defend for their organization. So public relation management or public relation practitioners work as a defender about the organization on two sides. The first one, defending about the organizational reputation, or what we call it, manage reputation, also manage crisis. Management process of public relations. As with management, public relations demands clear strategies and bottom line objectives that flow into specific tactics. So one of the public relation practitioners or chief executive role, and one of the main major maybe role of chief executive officer or public relation practitioners, is to first of all to setting clear objectives, also clear strategies for the organization. And if you don't understand how to set your strategies or the organizational strategies or objectives, you are not a manager. You have to know how to set a strategy, how to set a strategic plan which is focusing on the whole of the organization. المدير يعني عادة يفترض أن يكون عنده دايما بنحكي نظرة مستقبلية، بيعرف يتنبأ بالمستقبل، فبالتالي يفترض أنه تكون عنده قدرة على وضع الخطط الاستراتيجية اللي هي معنية بالتحليل البيئي الخاص بالمنظمة. فبالتالي if you don't know as a manager how to set your strategies and how to put strategic plans or objectives, فبالتالي you are not a manager. Each tactics must have its own budget, timetable and resources. So each strategy and objectives has its own budget, has its own start and end point to be achieved. This is what we call it a timetable. We have a start point for this tactic or for this strategy or for this objective, and also an end point to be achieved. And the last one to have resources needed in order to achieve these objectives, whether a human resource, material, informational resource, and so on. Continue talking about management process of public relations. Public relation is the ability to think strategically and plan methodically to help change attitudes, crystallize opinion, and accomplish the organization's overall goals. So if you ask a question, why we need to set a strategy? We need to set a strategy in order to achieve our goals. And what are our main goals? Main goals is helping in changing attitudes, and here we said helping in changing the public's or audience's attitudes, because we cannot sometimes change it, as we said before. Also to crystallize opinions and accomplishing the organizational or overall organizational goals. According to communication professor James Grong and Todd Hunt, public relations managers perform what organizational theorists call a boundary role. A boundary role, it means public relation practitioners or public relation department working as a link between internal and external publics. boundary role بمعنى اللي هو دور العامل على الحدود، كيف فبالتالي هو كخط اتصال ما بين ال publics, whether the internal and external publics. They function as the edge of an organization, as a liaison between the organization and its external and internal publics. Okay, so liaison here, it means that public relation practitioners represent or they are working as a link between two parties or two publics, internal and external publics. And in other words, public relations managers have one foot inside the organization and one outside the organization. Often this unique position isn't only lonely but also precarious. Okay, so unlike other managerial functions or units or departments within the organization, unlike other managers within the organization who have 2 foot inside the organization, public relation practitioners or public relation departments has a unique position. They are dealing with different publics, whether internal or external public. زائد انه كمان بيحكي لي انه الشغل public relation department دايما بيكون في نوع من الحذر، في نوع من الخوف، لانه بتم من خلاله التعامل مع different publics سواء كانوا الامبلويز within the organization أو top management أو حتى الaudiences أو external publics. Managers insist on results. The best public relations program can be measured in terms of achieving key relationships. So all managers, of course, focusing on achieving results, achieving goals or outcomes, and one of public relation practitioners' objectives is to build relationships with their publics, whether internal or external publics. The relevance of public relations is measured by its contribution to the management process. So here we are not only talking about building relationships as a major function of public relation department. Also, one of the major role of this department is contributing to the whole management process, and as we said before, that one of the public relation practitioners functions working as a counselor to the top management. So the more public relation department contributing to the management process, the more this department have a good position within an organization. Okay, يعني نقطة مهمة بيقول لي انه القسم او هذا الديبارتمنت الببليك ريليشن ديبارتمنت يعني يعمل بالقرب ويعتبر اقرب الاقسام اللي هو الإدارة العليا. يعني عادة بنحكي عنها في الأورجانيزيشنال تشارت لما بنرسمه بعد التشيف اكزيكتيف اوفيسر على طول بيجي عندي سهم مباشرة تحته اللي هو معني بالببليك ريليشن اللي بيشتغل كمستشار ومقدم نصيحة للتوب مانجمنت. So if we wanted to measure the effectiveness of public relation department, it can be measured by the percentage of contribution to the management process, whether in setting objectives, providing needed information for them about different publics, whether the internal or external publics. So again, as we said, that managers insist with the results, والresults هنا بنحكي على اللي هي كم نسبة السهام ومساهمة هذا الديبارتمنت في المانجمنت بروسس within the organizations، قديش بيساهموا في مد الإدارة العليا بالمعلومات عن الببليكس، قديش بيساعدوا في وضع الأهداف الخاصة بالمنظمة. وبعد هيك بدأ يحكي لي عن الفانكشنز أو الميجر functions of public relations. فحكى لي the best public relations programs can be measured in terms of achieving key relationships. فهي ال first standards اللي ممكن أنا أستخدمها for measuring whether they are achieving the results or not. Also, the relevance of public relation is measured by its contribution to the management process. مش بس في بناء العلاقات، أيضا في اللي هو نسبة إسهامهم داخل المنظمة مع الإدارة العليا. Management process of public relations. Top managers are forced to think strategically about reaching their goals, so public relations should think in terms of strategic position elements of their own roles. Okay, so managers should know how to analyze the environment using different tools such as the SWOT analysis, for example, understanding how to set the organizational objectives, be creative, and so on. Also, public relation departments have their own role, but they have to think strategically, such as the chief executive officer or the top managers. The boundary role of public relations. According to Grong and Hunt, public relations managers fill a boundary role. As we said before, they are working as a link between two publics, whether internal or external publics. They function at the edge of organization as liaison between internal and external publics. And here we have different questions that public relations must ask. إذا إحنا بدنا نحط كبابليك ريليشن ديبارتمنت خطة استراتيجية لابد من إنه نسأل مجموعة من الأسئلة. The first one, what are we attempting to achieve? So what are our objectives? And where are we going in that pursuit? So after achieving it, where we can go after that? What is the effect of achieving goals in our organization? يعني في البداية نضع الأهداف، ثم بعد ذلك يعني إذا تم تحقيق هذه الأهداف إحنا لوين بالضبط حنصل؟ مدى تحقيقنا الأهداف وين راح يوصلنا؟ The second question, what is the nature of the environment in which we operate? Whether طبعا the internal environment اللي هي بتتضمن type of management, whether autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, organizational culture أو external environment، وهنا بنحكي على legal, economical, demographical and technological environment. So we have to study our internal and external environment. Who are the key audiences we must convince in the process? We have to determine the key audiences, the target group, before we implementing our campaigns. Okay, and how will طيب بالنسبة للaudiences ممكن يكونوا we have different audiences and different target groups. ممكن يكونوا families, parents, schools, doctors and so on. How will we get to where we wanna to be? What is the methods and what is the ways, what is the different mechanisms we can use to achieve our objectives? طبعا أحيانا we can achieve it using different resources أو حتى different groups زي اللي هي الفوكس جروبس. ممكن يكونوا الدكتورز، ممكن يكونوا السكولز، ممكن يكونوا الموسكس، ممكن يكونوا البيرنتس لأنها من الجماعات الضاغطة والمؤثرة على القضية. حسب طبعا عندي الإيشو الموجودة يتم استخدام الميثود أو اللي هو الطريقة المناسبة. So again, here we have different questions that public relation practitioners must ask in order to set their strategic plan. What are we attempting to achieve? What is our objectives? Where are we going to that pursuit? What is the nature of the environment in which we operate? Who are the key audiences or the target market we must convince in the process? And how will we get to where we wanna to be? Reporting to top management. As we said before, that public relation department, it has a reporting relationship with top management. To serve as a true interpreter, the public relations director must report to the chief executive officer, okay, in order to providing them with the needed information or in setting their objectives and so on. To be valued by management, public relations must remain independent, credible, and objective. So if you wanna your management or your top management appreciate your role, you have to, or you must remain yourself to be independent, credible, and objective. You have to be independent. It means you have your own personality, your own values. Okay, no one can affect your decision. Okay, ما حدا بيقدر يأثر أو يعطيني أي أوامر. Also, you have to be credible, believable, and to be credible in the eye of management. Also to be objective, تكون موضوعي, dealing with issues as it is, not to be biased and give your reactions independently. Also to following a scientific approaches in order to solve this issue or dealing with different issues. Reporting to top management. In many organizations, this reporting relationship is not the case. Public relation is often subordinated to different areas: advertising, marketing, legal, or human resources. So public relation departments assist different areas. They are assisting the advertising, marketing, human resource department, legal department. Whereas marketing and advertising promote the product, public relation promotes the entire organization. As we said in the first chapter, that there is a difference between marketing and advertising or public relation department. Marketing and advertising promote the product, focusing on promoting the products, while public relations promotes the entire organization. Public relations should be the corporate conscience. An organization's public relations professionals should enjoy enough autonomy. It means they have to be independent, to deal openly and honestly, to be credible and believable with management. All disciplines must work to maintain their own independence while building long-term relationships for the good of the organization. On the value of reputation, we can afford to lose money, even a lot of money, but we cannot afford to lose reputation, not even a shred of reputation. يعني المنظمة تقدر تتقبل انها تخسر الأموال، وأي منظمة معرضة لهذا الشيء، أو حتى a lot of money, but we cannot afford to lose reputation or a shred of reputation، حتى لو ذرة بسيطة من هذا reputation. وشغل public relation اللي هي managing the reputation. كيف بالتالي يفترض انها تعمل working as a defender for اللي هو managerial or عفوا the organizational reputation or managing a reputation. Now it's your turn. What are the dangers of public relations reporting to advertising, marketing, or legal department? As we said before, that public relation working as subordinates, or they are reporting to different areas within their organization, such as advertising, marketing, or legal departments. So what are the dangers of public relations reporting to those areas? The job mistakenly become one of promoting for a specific department rather than the organization as a whole. As we said before, that public relation working for the whole organization, not only for a specific part or for a specific public within the organization. So sometimes mistakenly it becomes one of promoting for a specific department, whether for marketing or legal department, rather than for the organization as a whole. That's all for this lecture. Inshallah, we will continue in the coming lectures, chapter number 5, which is started by management. Thank you for your listening and good luck.